I have a 2015 Can-Am Commander that developed a rattling sound. It was most noticeable at idle and seemed to go away when the RPMs were increased. It sounded like the noise was coming from the driver's side near the airbox. It turned out to be the clutches, and hopefully you'll find this video useful to fix your problem.
When I began to notice the noise, it sounded like a rattling sound, but I wasn't sure if it might be valves or something internal. I noticed that the noise was much worse at idle than it was if a little bit of throttle was applied and at higher RPMs. I ended up taking the cover off of the clutches and the noise became really loud. It really sounded like it was coming from the primary clutch. As you can hear, it's pretty bad with the clutch cover off. I noticed that one of the 6 bolts, I grabbed a hold of it, had a bit of a noise to it when it seemed like it was loose. And in fact, all 6 of these bolts ended up being loose. There's 6 of them that go around the primary clutch. If I grab a hold of them, you can hear there's movement in them. And I was just hoping I would tighten them up a little bit and would be good. But when I took the nut off, I noticed that the threads did not go back any further. I could not actually tighten the nut anymore. So I ended up removing the nut with a 10mm wrench and a Torx bit. With the nut backed off, you can see that the threads on the bolt didn't extend far enough to tighten it any further. So what I did is I took a washer, and the outside diameter of this was a little bit large, so I simply nipped off a couple little pieces with some side cutters. That would allow the washer to sit flat against the clutch. Normally when you do this, you would replace the nuts with new nylon lock nuts, but I didn't have any, so I just added a little bit of thread lock glue to give some extra assurance that it wouldn't back off. And you can see it installed here, the washer in place and the nut back installed, and there's no movement now. And finally you can hear how it sounds when it's put back together. And hopefully you found this video useful and it'll solve your problem.